women have been stretched so thin. Successful business owners need to be flexible and evolve and change. You have to just get yourself out there sooner than you think and before you feel like you're ready. You need to know your stress preference. To listen to that little voice in your head that's telling you what the next move is. I always tell my clients my favorite feeling is the one that's like equalish amounts of fear and excitement. Follow that feeling, because no matter what the results are, no matter where you land, it is always worth it. I call it like, that's the land of no regrets. So you're never going to follow that feeling and say, oh, I really wish I didn't do that. It always leads you in the right direction.
Welcome to another episode of Hoda's Career Info, your program for all career literacy topics. I am Hoda, your host and supporter of all your career learning needs. Ready to meet this week's guest, Michelle Ward? My guest today is Michelle Ward, CEO of 90 Day Business Launch. She's a business coach who guides creative, multi-passionate women to become entrepreneurs. Since 2008, Michelle has helped hundreds of these women launch their dream businesses so they can get the freedom, authenticity, and fulfillment they are seeking in their day-to-day lives. You may have seen or heard Michelle in New York Magazine, The Huffington Post, Etsy, Newsweek, Freelancers Union, USA Today, the Forbes Top 100 Websites for Your Career list, EO Fire, Real Talk Radio, The Unmistakable Creative, or hundreds of other media outlets. Michelle is the teacher of Create Your Dream Career and Ditch Your Day Job, which were watched by tens of thousands of people on Creative Live. When she's not coaching, teaching, or speaking, Michelle can be found building a fort for her little girl, sitcom binging with her husband, strumming her ukulele, or belting out show tunes. Join me and let's check out together the business advice that Michelle has to share. It's my pleasure to have you, Michelle Ward, on Hoda's Career Info. I am very excited to have you share your story and your sound business advice. And right away, I usually start with the career term. As I told you, we have a career term to define, and you chose dream business. My questions about it is, can you describe it from your perspective? And what would you say is one of your key messages when you use the word?
Yes, thank you. And it's so funny because I don't know if I created this term or not, but it's one that I use all the time. And to me, when I talk about helping my clients launch their dream business, it's a business that is rooted in their values, in their lifestyle goals, in the skill set, in fulfillment, in I hesitate sometimes using the word like passion based, but something that they care about, something that makes them feel valued, something that's going to be lucrative. You know, I work with women who don't come to me and say, Michelle, just help me figure out how to make a lot of money. Or Michelle, just help me figure out, you know, I have experience doing this thing and I could turn that into a business, but I don't care about it, or I hate it, or I whatever. They want to feel connected to the work that they're doing and who they're working with. And so that business feels like a dream for them, that they look around like I do at this point and go, oh my gosh, I get to do this work with these people and make this money. That feels like a dream. So that's really what all the things I want to reference when I use that phrase.
Part of what I do when I interview my guests is go online and search them and learn more about them. And for you, something on your website got my attention is that you wanted to be a Broadway performer. One point.
Yes.
And like many professionals, you probably explored this opportunity and among other opportunities as well before creating and what I think for you is now your dream business,
Hmm.
90-day business launch. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? How did you get to decide that this is the career for me, and what led you to start 90-day business launch?
Yes, absolutely. This is a non-linear story, so I will try to not take you through all the bends and turns. But you're absolutely right. I started my career pursuing Broadway, being a musical theater performer. From the time I was 6, I was one of those, I guess, kind of annoying children who, when you would say, what do you want to be when you grow up, and I would say an actor, and I pursued that for 20 years. I got my BFA at NYU Tisch School of the Arts. I did various acting jobs, and it was hard, like everyone tells you. And by the time I was in my mid to late 20s, I realized that I still loved performing, but I did not love the business of show business, and it wasn't actually what I wanted to do now that I was a grown up. And it was very deflating. It was, I like to describe it as feeling like I lost my best friend and my right arm at once. It was this huge part of my identity. And as someone who really prides herself on being successful and ambitious and whatnot, it felt like, oh my gosh, I failed. I failed. And once I was able to reconcile that, I asked myself, okay, well, I now have 40 more years of work before I could retire. What am I going to do? And I think because I pursued something that I loved for so long, it was not acceptable for me to just go find a job. And my dad, who actually was a business owner, but it was not his dream business, he would come home every day when I was growing up, and we would say, how was your day? And he would say, well, it's called work for a reason, but I guess I have to go back tomorrow so that we could eat. And I guess I rebelled against that. But there was that voice in my head saying, well, you're a grown up, then you should just find a job that's going to pay you the money that you need, and just go do it. And that's what adults do. And I would not accept that. So I went to figure out, what is it that I want to pursue? What's going to be my career? And I was very frustrated that the first thing that really came to me that I knew was true for my next step was that I wanted to be a business owner. I needed to be an entrepreneur. I needed to work for myself. I was not going to be happy and valued and fulfilled and reach my potential in any other way. And that was hard because here I spent all this time trying to be an actor, and I wanted an easy route. Like, I wish I would have searched my soul and said, yes, I want to be an accountant, or I want to be a doctor. I want to be something that has a really clear path and is, not the struggle that it is to be an entrepreneur. So I realized that first. And then it was a question of, well, what do I do and what do I have to offer? And what really rose to the surface was that I wanted essentially to be the career coach that I needed at the time and couldn't find, someone that really understood creative people. So I got my certification as a life coach, and I launched a company called the When I Grow Up Coach. And I was working with creative types on their career transitions. And that evolved into specifically working with creative women to either discover, launch, or build their dream businesses. And I did that from 2008 until January of this year, January of 2021, when I shut down When I Grow Up Coach and went all in on 90-day business launch, which was the launch program that I was running in that business. And once I realized that if I put all my focus and attention there, I think that I could help 1,000 creative women launch their dream businesses in 8 years. And I went, done. This is what I have to do. So it was a very long and winding road, and challenging and fulfilling, and successful. And I pinch myself every day that I get to do this work.
Well, it's definitely a reflection of what we try to pass on, is that you have to explore until you find what's your passion. And it sounds like that's what you did, and you're happy with where you are right now, and that matters. Um, you talked about struggle,
Yes.
and now we're going through pandemic or post pandemic, I guess, depending where you live.
Uh-huh.
So,
Hmm.
what do you see as some of the main challenges, perhaps due to the pandemic, to starting one's business nowadays?
I see it through the lens of the creative women that I work with. And I think that what I've seen more than anything in the last year and a half, is their lack of time and resources. They are now home either as full-time caretakers and they're not working at all, or they're juggling their jobs with being mothers usually. And that has been a big struggle, even pre-pandemic, obviously in this day and age. I hate using that term, like in this day and age of the internet and social media, like time was always at a premium. And there are parts of the pandemic where, we don't have to commute anymore, and we're home more often, but women have been stretched so thin. Um, and I think that there's a particular challenge of looking at our responsibilities and commitments and saying, I'm going to choose to add to my plate the work that is needed so that I can launch my dream business, be an entrepreneur, and make this career transition. And I have clients who, there's no like requirement that you have to quit your job the day you launch your business or whatnot. But there's definitely just something more to that identity shift that my clients go through during this process, and um, the capacity that they have right now. And then I think there's a challenge too, obviously, with just this like, will we, won't we, in terms of in-person selling and services. And I don't work with aspiring business owners for like brick and mortar locations and physical spaces, but I do work with clients who might be yoga teachers, or might be jewelry designers, and they're talking about joining markets to sell in person or doing in-person yoga classes. And it's definitely challenging to try to figure out what the landscape is going to be when they do launch their business. But what I know and what I try to um, teach them is that successful business owners need to be flexible and evolve and change. And they might launch their business with virtual services that then, once things open up, they know how to pivot to offer in-person services, or now maybe they get to offer both where before they wouldn't. So those things are really the things that stick out. But the good news is that I had my best year ever in 2021. So many of my clients told me they had their best months, their best quarters, their best years. And business owners that do this sort of work that I work with my clients on are thriving. And I think that the world is waking up and realizing what's important to them and putting their money behind um, changing their lives in a lot of ways, or making their lives easier. So the services and some of the products that I help my clients launch are really needed right now. And in that way, like, phew, people are investing and spending money, and business is going well for a lot of my clients.
Well, I like where you're headed with that because, like, I would like to build a little bit more by asking you. So, if I come to you and say, Michelle, I want to start my own business, what would be the key advice or recommendation that you would give me? And another question with that is starting an own business for everyone?
Yes. Okay. So I feel like that first question, I would be like, okay, do you have a notebook? Do you have an hour? Let me just take you through the pieces. This is also, I feel like, a good time to point people to my free training, how to launch your dream business in 2021. Oh, you know what? By the time this airs, it'll be how to launch your dream business in 2022. But that takes you through, here are the 5 ways I know you're wasting your time that actually aren't important to your business launch. Here are the 5 things that you actually really need to focus on that make a difference. And then here are things that you might need to change or you might need to reconsider because of these uncertain times. So I would give you that link. I would say go to 90daybusinesslaunch.com/training and go, go through that webinar. But if I was limited to just that conversation or just that tip, I would say, this is what I wind up saying over and over and over again. You have to just get yourself out there sooner than you think and before you feel like you're ready. And the things that we're told matter, like learning Facebook ads or needing to be a social media superstar or needing to have, professional branding that costs you $5,000. Like, you actually don't need any of that stuff in order to start. What you need to do is figure out your audience and the problem that you solve and your offer, and just open your mouth and talk to people about it. I always want my clients to get that experience sooner rather than later. So going out and finding what I call, guinea pig clients or guinea pig customers, to try it out and start figuring out your process and start getting social proof is also exactly right. And then, is everyone cut out to be a business owner? Yes and no. So I do not subscribe to that piece of advice that is like, you have to love risk and you have to love, which is ridiculous. I'm not someone who loves risk. I'm not someone who is a thrill seeker. I've never been on an upside down roller coaster. I'm not my thing. What I do say is, you need to know your stress preference because both paths of how you go with your career are going to be stressful. If you go the traditional route to be an employee, you have the stress of fitting your peg into someone else's hole, so to say, of not being able to decide who you work with and what you work on and when you show up, and all of those pieces aren't your choice, but you get a payment of a determined amount every 2 weeks. You usually get benefits, you get those things. You don't really have to think about them. When you go down the entrepreneurial path, things are reversed. You're stressing about where your next dollar is coming from and paying for health insurance and whatnot. But you get that freedom and that control over what you work on and who you work with, and the money that you're charging, what you're able to make. So if you're the type of person where you're more stressed at being the employee, and following someone else's rules, guidelines, all of that, then if you're more stressed with that, then you're ready to be an entrepreneur. I don't think there's any other magic potion in order to make it work, or any sort of attributes that you need to have. Just pick your stress preference. That's it.
This is great advice, and I think you support your clients through that too, as to figure out what to do with their dream, I guess, and if they can launch it into a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the clients who come to me have already raised their hand and said, I'm volunteering for the entrepreneurial stress. Like, I know that's where I want to go, but I really also subscribe to not that leap in the net will appear advice. I hate it. I work with grown-ups. We're adults. We have needs. We have priorities. We have things that need to be met. And I like to set my clients up so that, kind of describe it as like, instead of being on a tightrope, 6 feet above the ground with like a little baby net, like way, way, way below, you're actually like, the tightrope just isn't even there. You don't even need to get on it. You're just stepping on the safety net on the floor. And eventually you look back and you go, oh, it's behind me. Okay, great. Like, that's how I want to set things up for my clients. Not a, leap and then just take a leap of it, just do that. And no, no, we have bills to pay and things to do, and ice hockey camps to pay for your kids. That's where my kid is right now. And it's hard. We can't just follow that advice that is often touted.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for this advice. I appreciate that you sharing this.
Sure.
And I've got one more question for you, Michelle, and it's about your new projects that are going to be coming up in 2022. What would you like to share with the audience? And
Yeah.
when they go to your website, what they can be looking for?
Absolutely. So head to 90daybusinesslaunch.com. That's where you'll find everything. You'll find the training. You'll find information about the program. You'll find a whole lot of articles, places to find me on social media. And I'm really excited for 2022 because I'm planning to have 4 or 5 90-day business launch groups. So there should be one launching starting every couple of months, so that I could work with 100 women in 2022 to get their businesses off the ground, started, ready to go. And I know that if they go there right now, we should be filling the January program. So you could start the year with me on this entrepreneurial dream. If it's something that you want that stress level, that stress preference to be at, I'm here to help. And really get you to an impactful and effective business launch in just 90 days. And we'll be ready for a January start and an April launch date.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on your business, on the launch, or is it all available on the website?
I mean, it's all available on the website, and it's just it's a program I've been running for 5 years. I have a 75% launch rate for my clients. So 75% of my clients get to their launch day. And then once they're there, 92% of them stay in business. And if you look at the stats of businesses that remain in business over 2 years, it's usually only 80% of businesses make it to the two-year mark. So I'm really proud of those results that I get from my clients. And this is a very well structured, personalized, intimate group experience, full of community and guidance and accountability and structure, resources. I really give it my all, and head over to the program page and see if it's for you.
Well, I really want to thank you. I was very excited when you said yes, you will come to
Oh,
my show, and
good.
I am very I'm very thankful that you did show up, because the advice you share is important, particularly for us women as we go through doubts and question things when we have to take care of kids and everything
Yes.
else around
Yes.
us and family. So thank you so much for showing up. And I usually wrap up by asking, is there anything else you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask, or
Ah,
um, one last bit of advice, perhaps?
yeah. Oh gosh, one last bit of advice. Well, if there's anything, I don't think there's anything we didn't cover, but I'm happy to have anyone go to my contact page, send a question, or head to 90 Day Biz Launch on Instagram and DM me a question. I am super available. Or fill out an application. There's a place for questions there, and there's no obligation. A piece of advice, I think it's just to listen to that little voice in your head that's telling you what the next move is. I always tell my clients my favorite feeling is the one that's like equalish amounts of fear and excitement. And so if you're feeling that about something in particular, whether it's being a business owner or something different, I just want to encourage you to follow that feeling, because no matter what the results are, no matter where you land, it is always worth it. I call it like that's the land of no regrets. So you're never going to follow that feeling and say, oh, I really wish I didn't do that. It always leads you in the right direction. So I hope that's what your viewers will do today.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for your time.
Thank you, Hoda.
What have you learned from this episode? Which advice stood out to you and you think you will use it? Let me know. I loved and related to the down to earth description that Michelle Ward presented her story that led her to create her dream business. Do you have any questions for Michelle? You can connect with her on her website, 90daybusinesslaunch.com, and you can also find her on Instagram. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it and to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on social media everywhere. Just look up Right Career Fit. I am your host, Hoda, and until next time, stay focused and keep moving forward in productive ways.